Okay, are we ready to print? So today, I thought it would be really fun to print a towel. So here's what it looks like. Our little towel with our 5 little mushrooms all on there. I'm gonna print in a red ink. You can buy toweling by the yard, and then you just hem these guys. So you roll them over twice and hem them up. So fun, great gift. The supplies you're gonna need. I have what, like old tablecloths basically underneath here so that 1, I don't make a mess on my table, and 2, it gives a little pad to the printing process. We have a surface for us to mix our ink. This is just a piece of plexiglass, which you can get from like Home Depot and places like that. We have our spatula so we can mix our ink, our roller so we can roll our ink. And then this is called a baron. And this is a great way to keep your wrist from getting sore when you transfer the block to the fabric. Then the type of ink that I use, because I love it so much, is Speedball Fabric Block Printing Ink. Comes in a variety of colors. I still like to mix my own. So yeah, that's it. We got our blocks. We're ready to go. So let's mix a little ink. Mixing ink is really important. So that's just a little bit of oil that's come loose from this red. This is a water-based ink. So that means that you can clean up with soap and water. I like to use Dawn because Dawn cuts the grease, right? Let's see if these are obviously some low tubes of ink here. I like the mixture of the red and the magenta because it makes a really pretty red. So I'm gonna use my spatula to mix it up. If you notice, I'm not making a whole big swathy thing of ink because I don't want my ink to dry up, right? It takes a while for this to dry up, but still. Now, and then this also allows you to get any goobers. Take the goobers out. Looks pretty mixed, fairly goober free. Oh, there's some more pink on my. All right, I love mixing ink. I love the whole process, it's so fun. Anyway, so then we're gonna make what's called a trough of ink. About as wide as your roller. And put this guy aside so he doesn't get in your way. Now, when we roll our roller, as you know, you want it to spin and get an even coating across the whole thing. So, and I'm not gonna come up like this because then you'll get ink up here. So really keep it flat, parallel to your surface. And what we're doing now is making what's called a well. So your well is like your stamp pad. It's where you're gonna get your ink. And I always say the key is the sound. So I'm gonna be really quiet and I want you to listen to the sound. There's a sound that the ink makes when you have a really good well that doesn't have too much ink and it's not dry, okay? So, let me get a little bit more in there. I always think that if suede had a sound, that's what it would sound like. Now, I'm gonna show you the sound of, these are important things for you to understand, is the too much ink. Hear how wet that is? And see how thick it is? Like that's just you're gonna lose all your cute little lines here if you have this much ink on your roller. It'll just ooze into them. So, if that happens, never fear. Just scoop up your well and start over. Okay, now it sounds really good to me. So I am going to ink up all 5 of my guys because I know I'm going to want to put them all on my towel. So you always want to do I call it priming the block. So I do a nice thin roll of ink on it, each one. They're really cute once they start getting ink on them. Nice thin layer of ink. And as you notice, I'm spinning my roller so it evenly coats your block. Okay, so then when you prime your block, I always like to have a test piece of fabric, or you can use your drop cloth, whatever, and you just give it a good squish. And basically, you then have this nice thin coating of ink. And when you go to print on your product, whether it's fabric or shirt or bag or towel, you're gonna get the best print possible because you have this little layer of ink. At least that's the success I've had with it. So we've now tested all of our blocks. Voila. I'm gonna move them over here for a minute while we set out our towel away from ink. And when I've done this before, because I have 5 of them going on, I like to kind of set up where they're gonna be, right? I know I'm gonna have to roll this up, and I want to make sure that they're evenly spaced, or at least they look aesthetically pleasing. And I want enough space down here to do my hem. So I'm gonna roll out the first one. My well needs a little bit of ink, so I'm gonna tap the trough. See, I didn't get a huge amount. And I'm gonna get it on there super even. And I'm gonna bring over the first block over here. And I'm gonna apply thin layers of ink, like a few times. And really what your block will look like is almost like a wet stamp pad. So there's definitely kind of a look to it, right? So it's thin layers of ink so you don't lose any of those great details. I'm gonna turn them over like that. I'll move this one out of the way, take my Baron, and I'm just gonna press evenly down on the block and lift him up. He could have used a little bit more ink, but that's okay. We'll add a little bit more ink to this. Part of the beauty of block printing by hand is that it's by hand. Coating of ink on there. Okay, here we go. Number 2. Line it up and commit. Make sure that you don't move it after you set it down, or you will not like the result. All right, number 2. And here we go. You can see how this is super fun. Great way to make gifts. Great way to enhance things you already have. All right. I love these mushrooms. forgot to talk. Sorry about that. I get so caught up in my printing and focusing on it. All right, last one. And you can see this ink's gonna go quite a ways. It's a good thing I have a few more towels to print. So think about that when you're putting out your ink, that you don't put too much out and waste it. So another important part of block printing is cleanup. And cleanup, as I said, I like to use Dawn and a sponge, and I wash all these blocks off. But beforehand, I will scrape up all of my ink and put it in the trash, just so the least amount is going down the drain. All right, everyone, happy printing.